Hello, Wisconsin. I'm State Treasurer Sarah Godlewski here with exciting news because we broke a record. But first, let me explain. So I chair the Board of Commissioner of Public Lands, which includes 4 trust funds worth over $1.2 billion. And these trust funds support our public schools and universities. One of these funds is the Normal School Fund, and that's where we broke a record where we distributed over $1 million to support our public universities. And we've come a long way because back in 2009, the fund actually didn't distribute anything. So I'm really lucky because today we have one of the recipients of the funds that we provide, which is the College of Natural Resources at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. And joining us today is the Dean of that college, Brian Sloss. So Brian, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just start out with a kind of level setting question, which is how does these funds help the College of Natural Resources at Stevens Point?
These funds are very valuable to our reputation, which is one of a very applied college. So we teach the students theory, but the students come out with hands-on expertise of those theory. And so one of the big places where we do, the funds originally came here to help support the environmental educator for the entire state through the Department of Public Instruction. So that person who is in charge of coordinating environmental education throughout the state, a state that has a history pretty much that is leading the nation in terms of integration of environmental education into a curriculum, is an employee of our college. So we directly fund them and some of their activities. In addition, then, her work goes towards all school districts in the state. So you want to talk about the Wisconsin idea, directly integrating into basically the entire state K through 12 educational system. So direct impact there in a large part. The other part is it impacts our students because we are one of the leading colleges of environmental education in the nation. In fact, our first major was in conservation education. The first one in the state was founded here at UW-Stevens Point. Back then, I think it was Central State Teachers College in the middle of the state. So from there, we teach everything from how do you integrate environment into history, into math, into those aspects. So it goes further than just a class. It is more of an ethic that goes through everything we do. The other areas we focus on is we support outreach and experience in our students with these funds. So a couple of key examples. For the last several summers, I've been employing an undergraduate research fellow that has responsibilities on some of our college lands, which include things like Schmeekley Reserve, which is a large 200+ acre park here that we operate in the college and on campus, and other locations to control invasive species and work with the public to educate them on what it means when these invasions of our natural world starts to occur in Wisconsin and how it can damage our environment. So that's been going on for a number of years. We also have been sending a handful of students every year to the Western State Lands Commission meetings. Doesn't sound overly exciting, but these are the leaders in basically the northern western states. So think God's country from here on out to the West Coast. These are the folks that are responsible for how do we manage public lands in concert with public wants and what's good for the environment. So they're the balancers, they're the jugglers, if you will, of all the wants. And so how do we use UTVs and make sure that hikers and bikers can use the same areas, things like that. So through the support of these funds, we've been sending our students to have real world experiences in public policy, land management, and land use practices all integrated into one, which is just great experience for them as they get ready to open the door into their career.
So, I mean, I feel, Brian, that it doesn't get more Wisconsin than this because we have the Normal School Fund, which was created in 1848 by the founders of Wisconsin and the distributions benefit the university. And you are one of those beneficiaries. And then the money that you get are then supporting all these amazing natural resources programs that are leading not only the state, but the country. And one of the unique aspects is even providing support through K through 12 education. So our kids are getting firsthand knowledge of the environment and the importance that it plays right here in Wisconsin. So I feel like it's full circle, Brian. It doesn't get more Wisconsin than this, quite frankly.
That is one of our aims of the college. It's one of the things we're proud of. We have, not just in this fund, we have outreach, extension programming, and research and education that we feel is pretty close to that. Pretty much the full circle of life is what our goal is, because that's part of just who we are in the college.
Is there one particular kind of favorite part of the program that you want to highlight that you think maybe not a lot of people know about that's instrumental? I mean, you shared a lot earlier, but something that just really sticks out in your mind with the program?
It's hard. It's kind of like asking somebody to pick, their favorite of their children kind of thing. You certainly don't say it on camera, but I'll focus on what the support of the normal school funding goes in. So I'll narrow my focus a little bit. And among the favorite ones we have, I would say it's this undergrad fellow idea that we've been working on. And we're working to try to expand it. The last year has been challenging, obviously, with what we've been dealing with. But we're working on expanding that program because it focuses not only on the good we can do and the application of the students' knowledge and theory and everything they're doing, they get to practice, but it also helps build leadership, because these students typically are in charge of a crew of other students and other volunteers that are out there working on the land with them. So they're also learning at a very early age how to lead others and do it in an effective way, to not be a boss, but part of the team, but also a leadership. So it's very rewarding and exciting to see all of the lights turn on in a student, not just the educational side or the experiential side, but to see them be young leaders. And then, preferably going out in the field and in their communities and in their life, and turning into young leaders and eventually seasoned leaders in their life. So that would be, for me, I think that's probably the most rewarding one that we support through these funds. They're all great. So like I said, it's very hard to pick the best. It's kind of how do you pick the best cream out of the cream of the crop? Because the programs that we run with these fundings, they benefit so many wonderful avenues and ideas. But that would probably be my favorite.
Well, and we actually recently spoke with a former student that really illustrates exactly what you are talking about, because he went from public policy to serving in the White House. And you want to talk about leadership, that is probably leadership at one of its finest. And it was exciting to kind of talk about the program and the impact it had. And so kind of maybe final question for you is, what do you see as the future of this program when you kind of look ahead in the work you want to do?
Well, as we continue to move forward, I think it's important not to leave a vacuum behind us. So we want to make sure that we continue to evaluate what we're doing. Is it successful? Are we hitting the goals we had when we originally agreed to do things? So we're going to try to keep doing a lot of what we're currently doing, while also hearing from our constituents of where we can, slightly change some things, or maybe, I think it'd be fun to add to the undergrad program, see if we can come up with maybe enough funding in there to get a couple of fellows out of this as things change and ebb and flow. So that would be one of the goals. The other part is, where can we come up with collegiate funds to help leverage some of these things and make the monies go a little bit further, and try to continue to grow our undergrad fellowship program in that direction. The other area we have been supporting Wisconsin County Foresters and the Wisconsin County Forests for a number of years in offering environmental ed programming. So it's not really a new and innovative area, but we're going to stay committed to that, because it's also a great area to where we reach the citizens of the state, and they get to learn about the wonderful world we live in up here in Wisconsin. We're very blessed to be surrounded by all the great resources in Wisconsin. And, our county forests are very, very popular with our citizens. So it's a great place for our college and the normal school fund and our state to be engaged. So those would be two of the big areas that we want to stay, devoted to and continue to innovate while staying devoted.
Well, Brent, I know you and I could talk about the School of Natural Resources all day and our history with natural resources and public lands, but we're going to cut it for now. And I look forward to visiting the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and the College of Natural Resources and seeing all the great work you are doing. But thank you for joining us and sharing about the program and the impact the Normal School Fund has. And we look forward to talking again with you in the future.
Thank you very much for having me and for all of your support.